Go.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheran Scholes and I am currently working as an assistant teacher in Renshaw Primary and I am studying on how to become a teacher at Stadio. My Stadio student number is 25242159 and I am pursuing a higher certificate in preschool. Now, the purpose of me making this video is to introduce my teaching methods and my values that will be represented through my vision board. Now, when we look at my vision board, the 5 values that I would like to establish in my classroom as a teacher would be dedication, discipline, respect, team, and motivation. Now we move on to my quotes that I would like to preach into my class. The 3 quotes, and then one of them being, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. One of the great quotes from Nelson Mandela. The reason I chose this quote is because when we look at the obstacles of life, education is the key into overcoming that obstacle. The second quote being, the great aim of education is not knowledge but action. The reason why I chose this as my second quote is because when we look at this quote, the great aim of education is not knowledge but action. It is telling us most things that we want to achieve is through action, not by looking, but action is what will get us our result at the end of the day. The third quote being, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow. Belongs to those who prepare for it today. Now this quote, I chose this one as my third quote because if we want to overcome something, we need to prepare for it. And we need to do it as soon as possible and not leave it for the next day. And now that concludes my brief explanation of my board. Now I move on to the teacher that has inspired me from the past is Mr. Bartolo. The reason why I chose Mr. Bartolo was because he always had a professional way of doing things. One of them being the way he would dress. He would come in formal dressing codes to school from Monday to Friday. And I always admired a professional teacher when I was younger. Another thing that made me admire Mr. Bartolo was his way of teaching us as students. One of those ways was he wouldn't move on to the next topic. He would make sure all of us as students understood that topic because he did not want to leave anyone behind. Thus, making one of his best quotes, only through hard work we will prevail. And last but not least, another thing that I admired about Mr. Bartolo was, my most best memory with him was, I was a struggling student, one of the struggling students in his class, and he was always there to motivate me to overcome the problem. Now, we talk about my vision board and what I hope to accomplish as a future teacher in my class. I talked about my values, but I'm gonna go into deeper explanation of them. The first value being respect. The reason why I want to establish this value in my class is because my students must understand the concept of respect. Not just to me as their teacher, but to have respect towards each other and have respect for themselves. The second value being motivation. This value, I chose this value because I want to see my students motivated in willing to learn new things. And let me not just say motivated, willing to be educated to learn new things. And seeing my students motivated makes me motivated as their teacher to teach them new things every day. The third value being team. The point of this value is I want my class to operate as a team. I want my learners to be one big family and help each other to overcome things. Only through overcoming things together, we will get the end result. And the fourth value, one of the most important values that I preach the most, is discipline. A child will need to learn the correct amount of discipline to know what is right and what is wrong. My fifth value being dedication. A child must be willing to put a lot of dedication into their work. Only through dedication we will achieve the end result that we are working for. And now to conclude my presentation, the 3 goals that I want to achieve as a teacher is the first one, for my students being able to recognize me as their best teacher. The second one being improving the marks on my kids. And the third one, us acknowledging each other as one big family. And I thank you. That concludes my presentation, ladies and gentlemen.